Hello everyone! Miss Lizzie here at the Drake Library to bring you another fall craft. This is actually the last craft in our fall series, but stay tuned because we might have some winter crafts in store for everyone pretty soon. But I thought we'd end the fall craft series with kind of something that can transition into winter. This is very much a winter craft as well, but obviously you can still make it in the fall. It's great for this time of year, and that is a bird feeder. But not just any bird feeder. This bird feeder is made out of an orange. And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty simple in terms of steps. This is a craft that needs a lot of parent guardian supervision and inclusion in terms of working on the craft, unless you have children maybe 8 or 9 and up doing this craft, because we are poking some holes and measuring, but other than that, kids can absolutely survey. They can help, put in the bird seed, and maybe if they're old enough to use scissors, they can cut some of the string. So you can include them any way you want, but this is more of a parent being there, hands-on craft. So what you'll need is an orange, and I have just the half here. So you only need a half, and you can use both halves if you want to make 2, which is great. Some string. I have some twine. I find it's a bit sturdier because it's going to be going outside. So if you have twine, definitely use that. I have some wooden skewers. Mine have blunt edges. The ones that are pointed would work a little bit better. But you also don't necessarily need these for the craft. This is an option that adds a bit more leverage and a place for the birds to sit while they're eating out of it. But again, it's not necessary. You could just attach the string to the base of the orange instead. So that's totally fine. This is like the end of a screwdriver. This is what I'm going to use to poke the holes through to fit my skewers, because they have a blunt edge. If you have a skewer with a sharp edge, then you can probably just stick it through without an extra tool to use. You can also use a nail. And I have scissors and a tape measure just to measure out the twine. Okay, so the first thing I did was I cut my orange in half and I scooped out the innards. Now, these you can eat, they don't have to go to waste, or you can use them actually in a bird feed. If you don't have bird feed or any seeds, you can actually make a homemade bird seed or bird feed by putting oats, peanut butter, raisins, and the residual orange left if you want to mix that all together and put that inside. So that is another step that you could do along with this craft. Maybe that's the part that maybe the younger ones can enjoy and be a bit more hands-on with, is all the mixing of the goodies. So I already pre-cut and hollowed out my orange, so it's just the rind. Basically how I did that, because it's a little messy, but if you just take a spoon and you kind of stab it in and then scoop along the edge and kind of loosen this up, and then dig underneath and scoop out the bottom, it'll kind of all come out in one piece, roughly. So it wasn't too bad, and mine actually did rip a little bit, but I just hot glued it, so not a big deal if yours rips. And like I said, you'll have 2 halves of an orange, so if you wanted to do this twice, you can absolutely do that too, and have 2. I grabbed quite big oranges, but you could do this with anything smaller. It probably won't work as well in terms of leverage and everything like that, but this is pretty standard size. Also, these will last about a couple of weeks outside, so I would love to see them when they're done and know if your birds are happy eating out of them. So that was my first step. So now I'm just going to do 4 holes, kind of making an X. So I'm going to do 1 for here. I'm going to do them about a half or 3/4 of the way down from the base. And like I said, this just adds some leverage, and also because the skewers are long, they can stick out and the birds can sit on them. But again, it's not necessary. If you wanted to just make some holes and then string the twine through, that's absolutely fine. And then I'm just kind of estimating and seeing approximately where this one will go on this side, and same thing on the other side. Now if you had a longer tool that can go all the way through, that would be much easier and more ideal, because I'm just guessing. But, you know, we can work with what we have. And I'm just making the holes a little bit bigger, just so I can make sure that I fit the twine through nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to put the skewers in. Actually, I'm going to tie the string first. So, or measure the string first. I'm going to do about 18 inches of string. Depending on how far you want it to hang down on the branch, you could do more. Maybe if you have a higher tree that you're going to hang it in, but I'm going to do 18. It's pretty standard. So I'm just going to measure it, and it can be approximate. So I'm just going to put this on 18. And just kind of eyeball it and cut it. And I'm going to do that with another one. I'm only cutting 2 pieces of string because we're going to attach them to the skewers, and 1 string is going to attach to 2. I'll show you how. So this is a pretty easy craft in terms of steps and materials, but can be a bit trickier. Okay, so now I'm going to stick my skewers through. Where's my holes? There we go. And I'm going to stick it all the way through to the other side. There we go. So I have 1 in there. And while I have 1, I'm going to tie the string. So what you're going to do is take 1 piece and you're going to tie it like this, so it hangs like that, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. So what I actually should have done was probably cut these even longer, so that way I could have an easier time tying my knot, and then still have it give some leverage. But again, it doesn't really matter how, you know, if you want it to hang a little bit shorter, that's okay. Alright. And this just looks really pretty outside, especially I can picture when it's snowing, or when there is snow on the ground, the orange in the tree with all the white will look really pretty, very wintry, and it smells really good. So there's 1, and we're going to do the same thing with another one. This one's a harder time. There it is. There we go. So it's going to make like an X right in the middle. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this twine. Just tie it on. And if you even wanted to at the end, you could glue the knots, maybe with some hot glue. Again, that's more of a, the parent is supervising, or if the parent wants to do that step maybe after they've finished the craft, or again if you have an older child, and they can handle it. Just to keep the knots in place. Again, it's not a necessary step, but it's something you could absolutely do to kind of make sure it's more secure, or double knot it, whichever. And you're left with this. So it will hang in on a branch, and it will cross, so it has some leverage, and then the birds can rest here. But again, if you don't have skewers, you can just do the holes the same way and lace the twine through the holes, and it can hang on its own, and then the birds can always perch on a branch. but I like the skewers because it adds that extra leverage and a place for the birds to perch while they're eating. And then you can fill it with any bird seed or seeds that you have, or like I said, you can make your own bird feed, excuse me, with the peanut butter, oats, raisins, and the residual orange, and that can be a part of the craft as well. So yeah, this is a really short craft, pretty easy, and this is always something that can be prepped. So if the adult wanted to prep maybe the orange already, or the holes, and you can help them just skew the sticks through and maybe tie the knots, and with some supervision, and then have all the hard, more dangerous part of the craft out of the way, that's absolutely fine. And then you can spend the morning maybe making the bird feed, or you can read some books to go along with it. Now we have some great books here at the library about birds, and so I pulled a few to go along with this craft if you wanted to. And this first one is called Look Up, Birdwatching in Your Own Backyard by Annette LeBlanc Kate. And this is a great book with great illustrations. As you can see, it's almost like comic style throughout, but it is a non-fiction book, and this basically just tells you what you'll need to go bird watching in your backyard, kind of the tools you'll want, what to look for, the different kinds of birds, and what they're doing, and what to do. And it's got a lot of great humor in it because of all the silly illustrations. This is a great book that I think would go along great with this craft. And then there's more of just our standard nonfiction books. So this is the Children's Guide to Birds. This is a great book that tells all the different types of birds and what they look like, and the names of them, where they live, has great pictures. This is a great book as well, for a bit more strictly nonfiction. And then one of our bird watching books, our Children's Guide to Bird Watching. And again, this is kind of like the more educational straight-laced, well, both of them are educational, but this is the more, I think, standard nonfiction book in terms of bird watching, where it has all the pictures, but this is more of a wordy book, and all the different things to look for, what their eggs look like, how to build bird houses, things like that. So those are some great books that if you wanted to include them along with the craft, they are at our library, and I can link them down below on our website. And of course we have lots of picture books on birds, or some easy readers, and we even have more nonfiction books on birds here in the children's room. So yeah, that's really it for this craft. We'll hopefully fill it with birdseed, and I'll be able to put it outside and watch the birds enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed it, making this craft, and I hope you make it. And if you do, as always, you can send pictures to me of you making them or what they look like, and you can send them to our Drake It Library Children's Room Facebook page, or you can email us, where you can find our emails on our Drake It Library website. And I would love to see, oh, one of my knots came undone. But anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me in this installment of Fall Crafts, and hopefully I can see you soon for maybe some winter ones. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.